Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are trying again on our habitation module because I didn't include an antenna last time. We now have an antenna on here. This is a very effective antenna, so we should be fine. And we are currently working on docking up with our Minmus station in order to do a quick refuel before we go out to attach this guy to our solar gateway. We're currently about 600 meters out from the Ice Cream Maker 5000, and we will be docking up quite shortly. But first, we need to get just a little bit closer. We're currently oriented retrograde, so we can come to a stop relatively easily. And what is our actual separation going to be here? 0.2 kilometers. Okay, that's not as close as I was hoping, but I guess it'll do. We may have to do one more get closer burn. But I guess that's fine. Feels like we're going to get closer than 0.2 kilometers, though. We did. Okay, so now we're going to want to kill our relative velocity. And we're moving slightly away. But now we're going to want to turn around and point towards target. Because of course this is gonna be how we're going to dock. We're gonna need to decide when we want to dock. I'm gonna put it on stability assist here. And we are just going to go right on up over to the retrograde node, since we can't currently lock to it at this minor speed. There we go. 0.1 meters per second. 0.0. Perfect. Okay, we will extend our crew hatch, like so, and we'll point at target. We'll switch over to the station and figure out which docking port we're going to use. I am leaning towards... Let's see, which way are we? We're over here? This one. So we'll control from here, and we will set this as our target, and we'll point at target. And very slowly, with all these reaction wheels, wiggle our way around, and hopefully we don't wiggle too much. So we'll just get our way over to the target marker here. That was less effective than I had hoped. I'll just freeze physics right there. And we'll swap right back. Excellent. Now we can set this guy as our target, which it already basically was. And we'll point right at that target. And we'll just burn in at a leisurely 1.0 meters per second. Now we will warp in until we are about 50 meters out. That's 80, 70, 60. Okay. Point 5. Adjust our trajectory slightly. Point right at that marker. Fantastic. Gonna rotate us to be facing this direction so that our solar panels don't conflict with the radiators. One more minor tweak to our trajectory as we are on our way in. And hopefully this sway won't cause an issue. We were able to dock up previously, so it should be fine now. In theory. Hop over to the station, make sure that we're lined up. We're close enough. Okay. We're only about 20 meters out right now. That sway is definitely concerning. But the SAS is managing it for right now. We are about 10 meters out, and it looks like the sway has chilled, which I like to see. Okay. And there we go. We are docked up. Perfect. So our habitation module is, of course, this down here. So we are going to need to pin these guys open because we are here for refueling. And let's see, where do we have fuel? We've exhausted the fuel there. We can't apparently drain out of this tank currently. We can, however, move it from this tank to this tank. That'll work. Okay, there we go. And once this tank is full, then we can transfer from here to here. Perfect. Grab both of these open. And there we go. This is not going to fully refuel us, but it'll get us well on the way. Well, I suppose if I'm gonna sneeze, that's as good of a time as any. We should also probably refill our RCS before we leave. But let's just see what we've got up here. Okay, that's not going to transfer apparently. Nor is that. This will. And that'll fully fuel us. I should probably bring up more of our ore collectors at some point. Okay, so there we go. We are full up on fuel for our habitation module. And we need to have... It's over here somewhere. This RCS tank. Now, technically, we don't need much here. There we go. We are fully refueled and good to go. So let's get out of here. We are going to undock. Control this guy. And we'll just RCS away. Fantastic. Our trajectory at this point doesn't really matter. We just want to get some distance. And in fact, I want more distance. Let's get some more speed going here. There, that should do the trick. Okay, so here is our current trajectory. If at the apoapsis we do a quick prograde burn, what's this looking like? Okay, that's a system escape in 92.5 meters per second. I'll allow it. So we're going to close this airlock for right now. We do not need that open. And we are just going to warp to this next maneuver, which is, of course, up over here. This is a 24-second burn, and we are getting our distance from the station right now. Excellent. So we want to burn at T-minus 12 seconds, which we will go ahead and warp towards. Okay, so we want to burn right about now. And off we go, escaping Kerbal. 90 meters per second is all we need. So with that refuel maneuver complete, we can head on out and see how we will end up doing getting to the solar gateway from this position. It'll probably take some time, but that is completely acceptable. Just burning this a little bit slower, and I want to check on our final orbit. This is fine. We'll save the extra 0.2 meters per second. Fantastic. So that's now 39 days until Kerbal escape. So we of course want to set the solar gateway as our target. Ascending and descending node looks okay. We're not too concerned about that. If, say, out here, and actually it would be like out here, we would push our orbit out to that of the solar gateway, how would we end up looking in terms of an encounter? That's really close. We'd have to change our inclination a little bit. Yeah, that's really, really close. We can mess with this and get ourselves quite a close encounter. So that's 200,000 kilometers there. Can bring that down to 150. Oh, other direction, actually. Something kind of like this, and then some retrograde. $250 only. Okay. We get rid of that for now. Yeah, that's definitely messing with our ascending node very heavily. So let's just bring this down to 0, in theory. That's 1.6 there. If we retrograde, does that change it at all? It does a little. That's definitely closer. This separation is the one that we're interested in. $500K? Ooh, it just vanished. Okay, yeah, we need to continue to mess with our descending node, and in fact, go the other direction. That's 100K separation there. $1.8. That's starting to go back up because we're not near this ascending node. So we would need to push this out further, of course. To be about right there. Okay. I think we'll just accept this. And then we'll get closer, and it'll just be a little bit of a journey to get there, but we expected that. This is actually way better than what we expected. Or at least way better than what I expected. So that'll be fine. I mean, we'll have a bit of a relative speed differential, but we have plenty of delta V to make this happen. We can cruise in at like... I mean, 100 meters per second would probably be more than enough. Yeah, that'll be fine. So that burn is in 42 days, so let's head back to the Space Center and see what else we've got. Do we need to do something in the next 42 days? I suspect we do. Those contracts are all kind of garbage. We're not too interested in those currently. Let's look at our long-term missions here. The Griffin 3L is in 171 days. SG Auxiliary is in 1 year, 239 days. The Science Rover Mark Duna is in a year. Okay. I thought we had something a little sooner than this, but we don't. So it's the habitation module then. Sounds good. So we are going to go ahead and warp to this next encounter, or rather this... We're going to warp to our next maneuver if we can. Can't auto-warp that far. Okay, so we're going to need to auto-warp to about here. Excellent. And technically we have a return periapsis over Kerbal here. That's slightly awkward, but we don't care. We're going to warp to this maneuver. Excellent. So we're going to begin this burn soon. This is a 2-minute 35-second burn, so we're going to want to burn this at T-minus 1 minute 17.5 seconds. Okay, we can do that. We'll just warp towards that position a little bit. A little further. Okay, there we go. So 17.5. So we want to burn this right now. And off we go. Fantastic. And then, of course, our next maneuver will be up over here, and that's not really going to be done via a maneuver. It's just going to be a target retrograde burn. This is interesting. We're going to essentially gravitationally assist Kerbal, looks like. Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, that'll be exciting. We'll see what that ends up looking like, actually. Because... Oops, I didn't mean to set that as our target. Unset that target, and focus view. Yeah, I mean, this is fine. We're essentially gravitational assisting around Kerbal a little bit. So we're re-entering the Kerbal sphere of influence, but this should be just fine. And this gets us the timing that we need, of course. So we'll set this as our target. Fantastic. And this gets us our separation of about 200k. And we're going to actually fine-tune that a little bit if we can. We've still got another roughly minute left in this burn, though. Our thrust to weight here is not very good. But that's solar orbit for you. We should be just fine, of course, with this antenna. 150 more meters per second in this burn. Our orbit is getting close to our final orbit. Getting close indeed. $60 more meters per second. 40. 20 more meters per second. Okay. Let's call this good. Let's just keep bringing this guy right on down. Watching the efficiency. Starting to slow. Okay. This is about as good as we're going to get right now. We can fine-tune this approach at a later date. And that later date is probably sometime around... Let's see, which is our orbit? That's the Solar Gateway orbit. This one's our orbit here. So probably sometime around here or so, about 150 days in the future, is when I'd like to come back and revisit this, and we'll see how we can fine-tune this. We might be able to fine-tune it a small amount from this position. Of course, our descending node is here. Hypothetically, if we added a maneuver here, we get rid of this maneuver, and we'll actually restart this one. If we were to fix our inclination here, what would this end up doing? So that's negative 1.4 there. That should put it at 0, 0. Okay. That does alter our intersection very dramatically, though. So we don't do that. Okay. Yep, we'll check in on this in about 150 days. Fantastic. So let's head back. I think we have a maneuver now that we need to do before then. So let's just see what we've got. In the tracking station... Oh, I should have checked contracts. Let's check contracts quick. Anything in here? Well, we're at max contracts anyway, so it's irrelevant. I mean, I could upgrade our administration building, but that sounds expensive. So 129 days is when the Griffin 3L's maneuver is. Okay, that's our next maneuver then. So, we'll have to familiarize ourselves with this situation. We cannot align to the maneuver node. That's fine. Just manually align it, like so. This is most of our remaining fuel. And this brings us into Kerbal at this rather spicy angle. Right. Okay, so we're going to have to double check that final periapsis for sure. We're going to want to warp to that next maneuver. This is a 1 minute 8 second burn, so we want to burn this at T-minus 34 seconds exactly. We have very little room for error on this particular burn. So that's going to be interesting. We're doing fine on power. That's a good thing. Well, let's bring our Griffin 3L home from our Ike visit. It feels so long ago. We've been doing so much simultaneously. So we want to burn this at T-minus 34 seconds. So we will warp towards that. Okay, we want to burn this in just a second here. Well, not literally 1 second. Now literally 1 second. Now. Okay. And homeward we go. It's a kind of awkward burn position, to be sure. I like it, though, overall. I think it's nice. This encounter is pretty excellent, really, as far as landing goes. I mean, it'll be possibly night side by the time we get there. I'm not sure if this will be night or day side. We'll have some extra DV to break around here, which is good. We're going to need it. Actually, we may want to just retrograde burn from the moment we enter the atmosphere, but it's less efficient to do it that way. 100 more meters per second. Just adjusting our heading a little bit because we don't lock to this node. Okay. From here, we're going to be a little bit more cautious. Ten more meters per second. There we are. Five more meters per second. One more meter per second. Okay. Where is our periapsis? We're not quite there. Okay. 55? I can work with that. So our next maneuver will be around here. We're not actually going to maneuver there. We're actually going to maneuver probably here, now that I think about it. And this would be a radial retrograde burn. This would be primarily retrograde here, but we'd be looking to keep our periapsis about at that same 55 marker. This is already more DV than we have. So this may be multiple aero braking passes to get us to the point where we want to be. So instead, we may need to simply do a retrograde burn, not here, but more like, I mean, like I said, from the moment we enter Atmo, we just start burning retrograde. Yeah, that's probably going to be what we're going to need to do. So we have a total of 718 meters per second. We'll do 719 just to make sure that we utilize all of it with this plan. That is a bit of a solid yikes. That's not enough to stop us. We're gonna have to go for a bit bigger of a... Oh wait, this is prograde. Hang on, negative 719. That would help. What am I even doing? Okay. That's a wee bit better. That's more like what I wanted to see. Now, I do want to make sure that this periapsis is a little lower. Probably about like that. That should do the trick. Okay. That's a re-entry right there. That's going to be 277 days in the future, though. So, for right now, let's just head on back to the Space Center. Okay. And it is pretty much time to put a cut in here, so I think I'm going to do that, and next episode, we are going to run this maneuver node for the habitation module, as well as probably a science rover is the next one after that. But we're going to continue our long-term projects. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.